The night was silent on the edge of the small human town. The air was cool, the sky was clear, and only the sound of insects filled the darkness. Evan, a simple farmer, sat on his old wooden chair outside his house. His day had been long, and he wanted a moment of peace before he slept. But peace did not come. A bright blue flash tore across the sky. It was so fast that Evan almost thought he imagined it. Then came the sound, a loud, sharp boom, like the sky itself broke. His chair fell backward as he jumped to his feet. The ground shook under him. Birds flew out of the trees. A strange, cold wind blew across his face. Evan looked toward the forest. A huge fire was rising above the trees. But it was not normal fire. It glowed blue, almost electric, almost alive. What on earth? He whispered without thinking. He grabbed a jacket and ran. His boots hit the ground hard and fast as he moved through the dark path he knew since childhood. But tonight the path felt different, dangerous, heavy, almost watching him. When he reached the clearing, he froze. There, half buried in the dirt, was a crashed ship. Metal torn apart, sparks shooting into the air, flames dancing around it. The ship was not human. Its shape was smooth, curved, almost like a living creature. Blue fire licked its sides, reacting strangely with the air. Evan's mouth fell open. A spaceship? On Earth. Before he could even breathe, he heard a sound, a small sound, a weak sound. A child's cry. It came from inside the burning wreck. Evan's heart started pounding. He stepped closer. The air around the ship was hot, thick, and sharp with smoke. He covered his nose and squinted through the flames. There, through a broken window, something moved. A small hand, thin, glowing slightly, trembling. Someone was trapped inside. Evan didn't think. He didn't plan. He didn't hesitate. He ran toward the fire. The heat hit him like a wave. His skin burned. His eyes watered. He could barely see anything, but he forced himself forward. The cry came again, this time weaker, softer, like the child was losing strength. He pushed aside a burning metal panel and climbed into the broken ship. The inside was filled with smoke. Strange blue lights flickered everywhere. Parts of the ship sparked like an angry beast. Then he saw her, a small alien girl, no older than 7 or 8. Her skin was pale with a soft silver shine. Her hair glowed faintly in the dark. Her clothes were torn, and one of her legs was stuck under a heavy beam. She looked up at Evan with wide, terrified eyes that were not human, eyes that glowed bright purple. She reached out her hand toward him. She didn't speak, but her eyes begged him to help. Evan dropped to his knees. "It's okay. I've got you," he said, even though he wasn't sure she understood. The beam was heavy, and it burned his hands as he grabbed it. He gritted his teeth and pushed with all his strength. His muscles screamed. The smoke made him cough again and again, but he didn't stop. Finally, the beam lifted enough for him to pull the girl free. She cried in pain as he picked her up, her small arms wrapped weakly around his neck. Her skin felt warm, too warm, like she had a fever. The ship shook under his feet. Something inside it made a deep rumbling sound. The crash site was going to explode. Evan ran out of the ship just as a blast of blue flame shot through the doorway behind him. He stumbled, almost falling, but he kept the girl tight in his arms. When he reached the trees, he collapsed to the ground, coughing hard. The girl lay in his lap, breathing fast and shallow. Her purple eyes stared at him, full of fear, but also trust. Evan gently brushed soot off her face. "You're safe now. You're safe," he whispered. But he was wrong, because in that moment, in the shadows of the burning trees, something moved. Tall figures, silent, watching him. Their eyes glowed the same color as the girl's, and they were not here to help. Evan carried the alien girl back to his small farmhouse. His arms shook from the weight and the stress, but he refused to let her go. The blue fire behind him burned brighter, sending strange sparks into the sky. Whatever that ship was, it wasn't safe anymore. When he reached his front porch, he pushed. The door opened with his shoulder. Inside, the warm yellow light made the girl blink. She looked around slowly, confused and scared. Her small fingers clung to his shirt. "It's okay. You're safe here," Evan whispered, though he wasn't fully sure. He laid her gently on his couch, placing a soft blanket around her shoulders. Up close, he noticed how strange she looked, beautiful, but in a way that didn't belong to Earth. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlight. Her hair had tiny glowing strands, and every time she breathed, a soft pulse of light traveled down her neck. She tried to sit up but winced in pain. Evan quickly reached out. "Easy, just rest." She opened her purple eyes and stared at him. They were full of emotion, fear, confusion, and something else he couldn't name. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked into a soft, musical sound he couldn't understand. "It's okay," he said gently. "No rush. You're safe now." For a long moment, she only watched him, studying his face like she was trying to understand this strange creature who pulled her out of fire. Then she did something unexpected. She touched his hand. Her fingers were warm, almost hot, and a faint glow spread across his skin. The touch wasn't painful. Instead, it felt comforting, like a message without words. Evan didn't know why, but he felt the girl trusted him completely. He walked to the kitchen and brought water in a cup. She stared at it like she had never seen anything like it. When he raised the cup to her lips, she sipped carefully, then took a long, desperate drink. "You were dehydrated," Evan said softly. "Must have been a long trip." She didn't understand the words, but she understood his voice. Suddenly, the girl reached toward the table beside the couch. There was dust on its surface. With her small finger, she slowly drew something, a symbol, a circle with 3 lines rising from it, like a crown. Evan looked at it, confused. "What is that?" The girl pointed at herself, then to the symbol, then back at herself again. Evan felt a cold feeling run down his spine. "That's your sign? Your mark?" The girl nodded weakly. Something about the symbol bothered Evan. He didn't know why, but it wasn't a normal mark. It looked important, royal, even like a crest from an ancient kingdom. Before he could ask anything else, she grabbed his sleeve with sudden fear. Her breath quickened. Her glowing strands of hair flickered fast. She pointed at the window. Evan slowly turned his head. Outside, under the tall trees, dark silhouettes stood silently, watching. "We're not alone," Evan whispered. He quickly moved to the window and peeked carefully. 3 tall shapes were standing at the edge of the forest. Their bodies were thin, armored, and almost blended into the dark. Their eyes glowed faint purple, same as the girl's, but colder. One of them raised a device and scanned the house. Another pointed directly at the window, as if he already saw Evan. The alien girl made a small, trembling sound, like a whimper. She curled into the blanket, shaking violently. Evan rushed to her side. "They're here for you, aren't they?" he whispered. She nodded slowly, tears gathering in her glowing eyes. Evan felt anger rising inside him. How could anyone hunt a child, any child? Alien or human didn't matter. She was scared, injured, and alone. Outside, the figures stepped forward, their footsteps silent but heavy. Evan moved quickly. He shut all lights in the house. Darkness covered the rooms. The only light came from the girl's faint glow. He whispered, "Stay low, stay silent." The girl nodded again, trying her best to stop shaking. For a moment, everything was silent. Then a loud thud hit the porch. Someone or something stepped onto his front door. Evan froze. The doorknob slowly turned. His breath caught in his throat. The girl crawled closer to him, clutching his arm with both hands. Her glow intensified with fear. The door creaked open just an inch. Evan grabbed the closest thing he could, a metal fire poker. His hands trembled, but he stood between the girl and the door. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. The door pushed. Open wider, wider, until a tall shadow filled the entrance. Evan raised the poker, ready to fight, ready to protect the girl, no matter what. But then, the shadow stopped, and a distorted voice whispered through the dark. "Princess Lyra, we have found you." The tall shadow stood in the doorway, half silhouette and half living nightmare. Moonlight slid across his smooth silver armor, shining like the surface of a cold blade. His helmet was shaped like a narrow mask with two glowing purple lines. Where eyes should be, Evan gripped the metal poker tighter, forcing himself not to step back. "Stay away from her," he warned. The alien soldier tilted his head slowly, studying Evan the way a scientist studies an insect. When he spoke again, his voice was distorted, like several voices speaking at once. "Human, this matter is not yours." Behind him, two more soldiers silently stepped onto the porch. Their armor carried strange runes that glowed faintly, breathing. Like living things. The alien girl, Princess Lyra, shrank behind Evan's leg. Her small fingers dug tightly into his jeans. Her breathing was fast and painful, her glow trembling with fear. The first soldier pointed at her weakly glowing hair. "She must be retrieved. The Empire cannot allow her survival." Evan's heart dropped. Retrieved? Cannot allow her survival? He swallowed hard. "She's a child," he said, his voice rough with anger. "You're hunting a child. She is a threat," the soldier replied coldly. "Her existence brings chaos. Stand aside." Evan didn't move. His legs trembled, but he stayed rooted between the girl and the soldiers. The alien soldier's mask flickered a darker shade, almost irritated. "You will not survive interference." "I don't care," Evan said. His voice cracked, but he didn't step aside. A long silence filled the room. The soldiers exchanged glances, as if surprised that a human, an unarmored, untrained human, was willing to fight them. Finally, the leader raised his hand. "Take them both." The two soldiers stepped forward, and that's when the girl made a sound Evan had never heard before. A soft, glowing hum escaped her chest. Her small body lit up like a lantern. She pressed her forehead into Evan's leg, shaking violently. A symbol appeared above her head, shining, spinning slowly, the same crest she drew on the table. The soldiers froze. "Her seal is active," one whispered. "Why would she activate it here?" "That power should not awaken on a primitive world," the other said. Stepping back in disbelief, Princess Lyra's eyes opened wide. They glowed fiercely, brighter than ever, and suddenly, a faint pulse of energy shot from her body. The windows rattled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The soldier stumbled back, shocked. Evan fell to one knee, holding her, trying to shield her from everything, even her own power. "What's happening?" he muttered. Lyra's small hand grabbed his collar, pulling him close. Fear and desperation filled her glowing eyes. She whispered a word in her strange language. Evan didn't understand it, but he felt it meant, "Help me." The lead soldier regained his stance. "She cannot be allowed to awaken further. Contain her." He raised a glowing blade from his wrist. Evan didn't think. He swung the metal poker at the soldier's arm. The strike did almost nothing to the armor, but it surprised the alien enough to break his focus. The glowing blade scraped across the floor instead of hitting the girl. "Human," the soldier growled, "you test my patience." Evan backed toward the hallway with Lyra behind him. "You're not touching her." The soldier stepped forward, then stopped suddenly. A faint beeping sound echoed through the house. All three aliens turned their heads toward the window, outside. A new light appeared in the sky, a red tracker beam. The three soldiers tensed. "No. The Sovereign Squad is here," one muttered. "They tracked her signal." The leader hissed. "We must terminate the princes before they arrive." Evan's stomach twisted. More aliens? And these ones sounded even worse. The soldiers moved fast now, desperate, ready to end the child they called a threat. Evan had no weapon that could stop them, no armor, no training, but he had something they didn't expect. Courage. He grabbed Lyra's arm. "Come with me." He dragged her into the back room, shutting the wooden door behind them. It wouldn't stop the soldiers, but he needed a few seconds. The girl tugged his sleeve urgently. She pointed to the sky, then pointed to her chest, then pointed to Evan. She was trying to say something important. "What? What do you want me to do?" He whispered. She pressed her palm to his chest. Her glow spread into him, a warm, energetic feeling raced through his body like she was giving him something. He gasped as his muscles tightened and a strange strength filled him. Then crash! The soldiers broke through the front walls. The house shook under their steps. The leader's cold voice echoed through the hallway. "End the human first. The princess will watch." Evan took a deep breath. His hands glowed faintly, the same soft color as Lyra's. He didn't know why. He didn't know how. But the girl had awakened something inside him. Something he didn't understand, something powerful. And for the first time in his life, Evan felt ready to face monsters from the stars. The walls of Evan's farmhouse shook again as the alien soldiers moved through the hallway. Dust dropped from the ceiling. Broken wood scraped across the floor. Every step the soldiers took felt heavy, cold, and final. Evan stood between Princess Lyra and the door, his breathing sharp but steady. His hands still glowed faintly with the strange energy she shared with him. It was warm, almost like a heartbeat running through his arms. He didn't understand it, but he knew one thing. He would not let them take her. Lyra crouched behind him, her small fingers gripping his shirt. Her body glowed brighter whenever fear rose inside her. She knew the soldiers outside were not ordinary hunters. These were trained executioners, cold, loyal, and merciless. Evan tightened his grip on the fire poker. "Stay behind me," he whispered. The doorknob rattled. Then, with a violent crash, the door burst open. The lead soldier stepped through the splintered frame. His armor shone like a silver moon, untouched by fire or soot. The purple glow in his mask brightened as he stared at Evan. "You continue to resist," he said, voice rumbling with layered tones. "Your bravery is inconvenient." Evan forced himself to stand taller. "I won't let you hurt her." "She is royalty," the soldier replied coldly. "Her power can shift empires. Uncontrolled, she is a danger to every world, including yours." "You don't kill children," Evan snapped. "You protect them. All children grow into forces," the soldier said. "This one is dangerous." Evan's blood boiled. He pointed at the soldier with his glowing hand. "If you want her, you go through me." The soldier stepped forward calmly. "Very well." The two soldiers behind him advanced too, spreading across the room like shadows. Their armor hummed. Their weapons unfolded from their wrists, glowing blades and needle-like energy darts. Evan swallowed. He was one man with a metal poker. They were armored warriors bred for battle, but something inside him, something Lyra awakened, refused to let him run. The lead soldier raised his blade. Evan swung first. The glowing energy in his arms made his movement faster, stronger. His metal poker clashed against the alien blade, sending a small shockwave through the room. The impact threw sparks across the walls. The soldier staggered back a step. He was surprised. A human wasn't supposed to be able to block a Silurian blade. Evan gritted his teeth and swung again. The soldier dodged this time, but not fast enough. Evan struck his shoulder armor, leaving a faint glowing crack. The other two soldiers rushed him. "Move, Lyra!" Evan shouted. The princess jumped away, rolling behind a cabinet. Her glowing Hair flickered anxiously as she watched the fight. One soldier raised a dart gun, aiming directly at her. Evan leaped between them, grabbing the soldier's wrist. The energy inside him flared, bright, warm, alive. His grip crushed the soldier's armored gauntlet like it was thin metal foil. The soldier dropped the weapon in shock. "What is this?" he hissed. "How is a human channeling royal light?" Evan didn't understand, but he used the moment. He slammed his elbow into the soldier's chest, knocking him across the room. The last soldier lunged with a blade. Evan blocked it, but the strike was strong. It pushed him into the wall. Pain shot through his back. His arms shook from the force. The lead soldier stepped closer, blade raised high. "You fight with courage," he said, "but courage is not enough." His blade swung down. Lyra screamed. Evan lifted his glowing hand. Clang. The blade hit his forearm and stopped. Stop. The glowing energy running through his body sparked white hot. It formed a thin, invisible shield around his arm. The alien soldier stepped back, startled. "That power." "She shared it with you," the soldier said. "Impossible." "She should not be able to." Lyra shouted something in her language. It sounded urgent, emotional, desperate. Evan didn't know what she said, but he understood the feeling. "Do not stop. Please. Do not give up." He stood tall again, the glow around, his hands brightening. The soldiers regrouped, forming a triangle around him. The lead soldier spoke quietly, almost respectful. "You are dangerous now, human. The Empire will not ignore this." Evan lifted the poker like a sword. "Then we fight." This time, he charged first. He swung at the closest soldier, breaking his arm guard and sending him crashing into a shelf. The second soldier stabbed forward, but Evan twisted, grabbing him by the throat and smashing him into the floor. The lead soldier lifted both hands, forming two glowing energy blades. Evan braced himself, but before the final clash could begin, the entire house shook. A roar thundered across the sky. Red lights flashed through the windows. The soldiers froze. "No!" the leader whispered. "The Royal Sovereign Squad has arrived." Outside, giant shadows descended from the clouds, much larger, much more dangerous. Lyra crawled to Evan and grabbed his arm tightly. Her voice broke as she whispered the first full word he ever understood from her. "Run." Asterisk. The roar outside grew louder, shaking the ground beneath the farmhouse. Red beams of light swept across the broken windows, moving like searchlights hunting for prey. Evan felt the vibrations through the floorboards, as if giants were landing in his yard. Princess Lyra clung to his arm tightly. Her glowing eyes were wide with terror. He had seen fear in children before, but this was different. This fear came from knowing something far larger, far deadlier, was arriving. The alien soldiers backed away from him slowly. Their arrogance was gone. Their confidence had cracked. Even the lead soldier, the one who spoke with layered voices, seemed shaken. "They came too fast," he muttered to his team. "The Sovereign Squad does not respond this quickly unless—" His glowing eyes turned sharply toward Lyra. She activated the royal seal. Lyra lowered her head, trembling hard, as if ashamed or terrified by her own action. Evan whispered, "What does that mean?" The lead soldier stepped backward, blade flickering with panic. "It means, human, she is not just a princess." The floor vibrated heavily. Thud. Thud. Something colossal landed outside. Evan swallowed hard. "Then what is she?" The soldier straightened himself, as if preparing for judgment. "She is the last heir of the Silurian throne, the Empire's future, its chosen ruler." Evan stared at Lyra in shock. This small, fragile girl. This child who clung to him for protection. She was a queen by blood, a symbol of power across galaxies. Lyra slowly stepped away from Evan. Her small hands glowed brighter, trembling as if trying to hold something inside. She pointed to the mark she drew earlier, the royal crest. She pressed. Her palm to her chest. She whispered a soft word in her language. Vahalira. The name echoed like a melody. The lead soldier bowed his head deeply. Your Majesty, forgive us. We were sent because Lyra lifted her hand sharply. A wave of energy pulsed from her palm, weak but controlled. She was telling him to stop. Speaking. Evan stepped closer to her. You're really a princess. Her purple eyes met his. Tears formed. She nodded slowly. Evan knelt down so he could meet her at eye level. Then why were they trying to kill you? Her lip trembled. She raised a shaking finger and pointed to the sky where the Sovereign Squad ships hovered. Then she pointed to the soldiers in the room. Then she pressed both hands to her heart. She didn't have the words, but her meaning was clear. There was a war for the throne. She was the true heir. Someone powerful wanted her dead. Evan's stomach twisted. The soldiers had not been hunters. They had been executioners. The house shook again as another massive shadow landed outside. The red lights grew brighter, flashing across the walls. The lead soldier snapped back into action, addressing his team urgently. We are out of time. If the Sovereign Squad captures her, she will never escape their ship. They are loyal only to the Emperor. He pointed at Evan, and they will kill you on sight. Evan looked at Lyra. She was shaking harder now. Not from fear, but from exhaustion. The power she had awakened earlier was draining her fast. Her glow dimmed, flickering like a dying flame. He lifted her gently into his arms. She didn't resist. She rested her head on his shoulder, breathing weakly. Tell me what to do, Evan said, voice tight with determination. The lead soldier hesitated, then spoke quickly. There is a forest ridge behind your home. An old storm bunker inside the hill. Hide her there. Delay the Sovereign Squad until her energy stabilizes. And you? Evan asked. We will distract them, the soldier said. Even if it costs us everything. Evan didn't trust them, yet he saw truth in their faces. They weren't the real enemy. They were soldiers trapped in orders, unsure who to follow. The house lights flickered. The roof groaned as dust rained from the beams. The Sovereign Squad was approaching the entrance. The lead soldier bowed one last time to Lyra. Your Majesty, forgive our failure. Lyra lifted her small hand weakly, touching the soldier's helmet. A soft pulse of light passed between them. Forgiveness. The soldier's mask dimmed in respect. Evan wrapped his arms around Lyra. Hold on, okay? I'm not letting anyone take you. She nodded faintly against his chest. Then he ran. He sprinted through the back door into the cold night air. The red lights slashed through the sky above, scanning the land. Giant armored figures descended from the ships, taller, heavier, more deadly than the first soldiers. And as Evan ran into the forest, Lyra whispered something weak into his ear. 2. Soft words he finally understood. My guardian. Evan held her tighter, because now he knew the truth. This was no rescue. This was the beginning of a war for a throne. And Earth had accidentally stepped into it. Evan ran through the forest, with Princess Lyra in his arms. Branches scratched his face, roots pulled at his boots, and cold wind cut through his jacket, but he didn't slow down. The red lights above the trees moved like hunting eyes, scanning everything, searching for one small girl who carried the weight of an entire empire. Lyra's glow grew weaker in his arms. Her head rested against his shoulder. Every few seconds, she whispered something in her language, soft, frightened, almost like prayer. Stay with me, Evan whispered, breath shaking. Just a little more. Behind him, the world exploded. A beam of red energy blasted through the trees, tearing apart trunks and sending splinters flying. Evan ducked, shielding Lyra. The heat washed over him like fire. The Sovereign Squad had found them. Evan kept running until he reached the hill behind his farm. The old storm bunker door was covered in vines. He kicked the vines away, then pulled. with all his strength. The metal door groaned, stubborn from years of rust. "Come on," he muttered. Shaking the handle. Another blast hit the ground nearby, throwing dirt into the air. Evan planted his foot and pulled harder. The door finally swung open. He slipped inside and closed it behind him. Darkness swallowed them. The air smelled like old earth and forgotten storms. Evan placed Lyra gently on an old blanket on the ground. Her glow flickered weakly. "Are you okay?" he asked. She reached up and touched his face. Her fingers were warm, gentle, full of silent meaning. Then she pointed to the roof of the bunker. "Watch." Her eyes seemed to say. Evan slowly stood and peered through a small crack between the bunker door and the earth. What he saw outside froze his breath. A giant shadow descended from the sky, bigger than any ship he had ever imagined. It landed in the clearing with a thunderous impact that shook the ground like an earthquake. Trees bent. Stones cracked. The ship was shaped like a massive crown, its edges glowing gold. Every part of it hummed with power. Smaller ships circled it like guardian wolves. Hundreds no. Thousands of armored soldiers marched out in formation. Their armor shone bright silver with golden lines, far more advanced than the assassins who attacked. Earlier. At the front of them walked a towering figure with a long cloak that swayed like liquid flame. The Emperor. Evan's breath caught. So that was the man, the alien who ruled an entire galaxy. The assassins who survived ran toward him and knelt quickly. Their helmets bowed to the ground. One of them spoke, voice trembling. "My Emperor, the princess is alive. She was protected by a human." The Emperor stopped walking. Even from the bunker, Evan felt the air grow colder. "Alive?" The Emperor repeated quietly. A silence so heavy it crushed the ground fell around the soldiers. The assassin continued shakily. "Yes, my lord." The royal seal awakened. It reacted to the human. The Emperor turned slowly, scanning the trees. His eyes glowed like blue fire. He raised his hand and a swirling hologram appeared, Lyra's royal crest. "This child," he said in a calm, terrifying tone, "is the hope of the Silurian Empire." Then he added, voice sharper, "and the greatest threat to it." Evan felt Lyra's small hand clutch his sleeve. She had crawled to the door, trembling as she listened. She understood each word. "Why do they hate you?" Evan whispered, kneeling beside her, her eyes filled with tears. She placed his hand on her chest, over her heartbeat, then touched her head. She was trying to explain. She was chosen. She was too young, too powerful, too pure for their politics. Someone feared her future. Before she could say more, the Emperor raised his voice, making every soldier kneel instantly. "Find the human. Bring him here." Evan's stomach twisted. They were coming. The bunker wouldn't hold long. He picked Lyra up again. "We need to go," he whispered. But then, a deep horn blast echoed across the sky. The Emperor's ship opened a massive golden door. A new presence descended. A woman taller than any soldier stepped out, wearing a glowing crown. Her aura was soft, almost gentle, yet powerful like a star. Lyra gasped. Evan looked at her. "Who is that?" Lyra whispered her first clear human word, "Mother." Evan froze. The Empress herself had arrived, and the moment her eyes saw the red beams in the forest, she knew someone had tried to kill her daughter. Her face darkened. The sky changed color behind her. The air thickened with raw power. And with a voice that shook the entire forest, she commanded, "Bring me the human who saved my child, unharmed." Thousands of soldiers rose to follow her order. Evan held Lyra tighter. He had no idea if this was salvation or a new kind of danger. The forest shook as thousands of armored Silurian soldiers marched forward. Their silver boots moved in perfect rhythm, forming waves of light across the ground. Above them, the Emperor's golden flagship rumbled like a living god. The air pulsed with power, fear, and ancient authority. Inside the bunker, Evan held Princess Lyra close. Her breathing was weak, but her eyes never left the thin crack in the metal door. She watched her mother, the Empress, step down from the glowing ramp. The Empress's presence was unlike anything Evan had ever felt. She was tall, graceful, and dangerous, like a queen carved from starlight. Her crown glowed faint gold, casting halos across the forest floor. Her eyes, though fierce, softened when she looked around, searching for only one being, her daughter. Evan whispered, "Do you think she'll help us?" Lyra didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and touched his cheek with trembling fingers. Her eyes said what her voice couldn't. "Stay with me, please." Before Evan could respond, the bunker door shook violently. Boom. Boom. Not from attackers, but from soldiers landing right above them. The Empress raised her staff. The whole forest fell silent. "Find the human who saved my child," she commanded. "He's under my protection." Evan exhaled shakily. Protection or interrogation? He whispered to himself. Lyra tugged his sleeve, urging him to trust. She held her small hand against his, and the weak glow in her skin spread to him again, a sign of connection, of trust. Evan took a deep breath and pushed the bunker door open. Bright light exploded into his eyes. Dozens of soldiers immediately turned toward him, weapons raised. He lifted his hands slowly. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "Just protect her." When they saw Lyra in his arms, the soldiers froze. Their glowing eyes widened. One by one, they stepped back, creating a path toward the Empress. Evan walked forward, each step slow and careful. Lyra clung to him, her face pressed into his shoulder. The soldiers around them whispered, "A human carries her." He touched the royal light. "Impossible. He is connected to her seal." Evan ignored the voices. His eyes stayed locked on the Empress. She stepped down from her platform, her cloak flowing like liquid gold. When she reached Evan, she stopped only a few feet away. Her eyes, cold flame and motherly warmth, met his. For a moment, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. "Give me my child," she said softly. Her voice was not cruel, not harsh, just tired, worried, and full of pain. Evan looked down at Lyra. She didn't want to let go. Her arms tightened around him. The Empress noticed. She knelt down, lowering herself to Lyra's level. Her face softened, breaking through her royal mask. "My little star." "You survived," she whispered. Lyra slowly lifted her head. Her purple eyes shimmered with tears. "Mother." The Empress's breath hitched. She reached out, but carefully, respectfully, waiting for her daughter to accept her touch. Lyra reached for her mother's hand, but she did not let go of Evan. The Empress looked at the human man with new eyes, curious eyes, confused eyes. "You protected her. You risked your life." "I just couldn't leave her," Evan replied quietly. "She was alone, scared." "And yet you fought my own soldiers," the Empress said. Evan nodded. "They tried to kill her." A shadow crossed the Empress's face. She stood, authority returning to her posture. "Those men acted under another's command," she said. "A traitor who wished to rule our empire by destroying my daughter." She turned to her soldiers. "Bring the one responsible to me." The forest erupted with movement. The traitor, the lead assassin, was dragged forward. He kneeled before the Empress, trembling. "My Empress," she raised her hand. He fell silent instantly. "You threatened the future of our empire," she said coldly. "And this human defended it with his bare hands." The traitor lowered his head. Empress turned back to Evan. "Tell me, human, what do you want? Gold? Power? A place in the empire?" Evan shook his head. "I don't want anything. I just want her safe." The Empress blinked. Surprised. Lyra tugged his shirt and whispered, "Guardian." Evan smiled softly. If she wants me to stay by her side, I will. The Empress slowly nodded. She placed a hand on Evan's shoulder. Then hear my command. All soldiers bowed deeply. Evan Thorn of Earth, she declared, you are now the guardian of the Royal Bloodline, friend of the Empire, protector of my daughter. Evan felt shock ripple through him. Lyra threw her arms around him, glowing warm and bright again. Guardian, she whispered joyfully. My guardian. The Emperor himself, silent until now, stepped forward and bowed his head in respect. And thousands of alien soldiers followed his example, kneeling before a human. Evan's breath trembled. He looked down at the girl he saved, the Empire around him, and the sky full of stars. He never wanted power. He never wanted glory. He just wanted to do the right thing. But tonight, a man who walked into fire made an entire empire kneel, and the galaxy would never forget his name.